Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is, well, it's my birthday and it's August 16th and I'm doing this video today specifically about aneurysms because technically I'm not really supposed to be here today for this birthday. I'm so grateful that I am, but technically I'm not supposed to be here because of an aneurysm I had that ruptured on May 31st. So I thought, in dedication to my birthday and being so grateful, I'm going to educate with as much information as I possibly can and tell you a little bit of my story of what happened to me. So on May 31st, I had an aneurysm rupture in my brain. I had no idea that I had it. I was at a friend's house having dinner, and all of a sudden I was talking to her daughter and dinner was almost ready, just sitting around chilling, and all of a sudden I was lying down, we were watching TV, and I went to go get up, and all of a sudden I just had this excruciating pain in my head. And they thought I had a headache, and I was just holding my head, and thankfully I had said, I don't remember this, so this is why I'm saying it this way, but thankfully apparently I said to everybody, this is not normal, something's wrong, and they just thought I had a headache. I ran into the bathroom, I threw up all over the place, and I passed out. So they called an ambulance, and long story short, I had a ruptured aneurysm. So luckily I made it to the hospital. Luckily, they figured out what was going on in time, sent me downtown to St. Mike's, which specializes in neuro illnesses. So I was put in the neuro IC unit, and I was given surgery, and thankfully I'm here today to tell you about it. So I thought I would focus on the aneurysm today. I normally talk about nutrition, but it is definitely a health issue, and it can be nutrition related in some instances. So this is where I'll start. So an aneurysm, first of all, the technical definition of an aneurysm is a weakening of an artery wall that creates a bulge or distension of the artery. Now, it's important to note that aneurysms cannot be rupture, and some aneurysms do rupture. So either way, they are very dangerous because, I mean, if you don't know you have one, or even if some people know that they have one, they've been diagnosed with one, but because of the location of where it is, or maybe the size of where it is, they don't do anything on it. So some people are walking around with an aneurysm knowing they have an aneurysm. So let me start off by saying that I didn't know a lot about aneurysms until it happened to me, and I've done a lot of research on it. But what I did know is that my grandfather died from an aneurysm, and he died instantly because back in the day, a lot of the thing with aneurysm is getting to the hospital on time. That's your success rate of surviving. So back in the day, I mean, my grandfather lived in some remote little village, right? So they weren't close to hospital. So that's why if you know of a lot of people that have died in aneurysms a while ago, it's because they weren't close to a hospital. But still, the death rates are quite high. Mostly because of not making it to the hospital in time, but I'll go over those numbers. So 1 in 50 people have an unruptured aneurysm. Whether they know it or not, they have an aneurysm. So 1 in 50. 8 to 10 people out of 100,000 people will have a ruptured aneurysm. So that's where I kind of fall in. Women are more likely to have aneurysms, and the most common age of aneurysms is anywhere between 35 and 50 years old. Although, let me tell you that there are lots of young people that have aneurysms, and it really doesn't, that might be a statistic, but from what I know and the stories I've read, and I've joined a support group, which has been wonderful. And a lot of the people on there are telling stories about their children having aneurysms. So this really does not have a specific age. It's just more known for older people, but everybody, it can happen to anybody, really. So women are more likely. There are 500,000 deaths worldwide every year from an aneurysm, and half the victims are younger than 50. So there you go. There's that. That's what I was talking about, because I do know there's a lot of younger people. So it's not one of these things like you're young, you don't have to worry about it. Everybody sort of can be victim to this. 15% of people die before reaching the hospital. These are current statistics. And 40% die from complications, usually within the first week or the first few weeks at the hospital. Of those that survive, 66% have deficits. So they have issues from their aneurysm that sort of never go away. I have some that I'll discuss later. I actually think that number is higher than 66% because I watched several videos with neurosurgeons, and many of them say if you have an aneurysm, it's very, very rare that you'll have no deficits, that you'll be completely okay for the rest of your life. And I mean, it makes sense, especially in my circumstance, it was in my brain. So you can think of all the complications that can happen. An aneurysm also, how I explain to people that don't understand, it's very much like a stroke. A lot of the symptoms, a lot of the deficits are stroke-like deficits, but some are not. So, and every single person is different. There are no two people that I have met, talked to, or even online on a support group that have the same problems. We might have this and the eyesight thing, or we might have fatigue, but I might not have something else that they have, or we might not have it in the same way. So no two people recover the same way. No two people have the same exact story, the exact same symptoms. Again, there might be 80% that's similar, but it's literally everybody's like a snowflake. We're all completely different. So I thought that was interesting, and that's probably the case in most recovery stories or most illnesses. Like, not everybody's 100% the same in how they go through it and what they experience and how bad it is and how well they recover. So 1 inch is actually what's considered a massive aneurysm. I haven't read of any stories or talked to anyone that really was that much of an aneurysm that big. Just for reference, most of them are fairly small, even though they cause a lot of damage. They can be fairly small. My aneurysm, according to my hospital records, was 4 millimeters by 5 millimeters. And it doesn't sound like very much, but they can cause a lot of damage. So that's just a one that's 1 inch is considered a giant aneurysm. And I haven't met anyone or talked to anyone, and I've been talking to a lot of people that have one that big, but it's very possible. 20% of people diagnosed will have a second aneurysm or more aneurysms. And it's important to get follow-up checkups. I have one next week, and then they're going to determine if I come every 6 months, every year. But it's very important. And almost everybody that's experienced an aneurysm will be monitored regularly by a neurosurgeon or a doctor, a specialized doctor, because it's important to keep on top of aneurysms so that they don't rupture. So there are different types of aneurysms as well. Mine was in my brain. So there's one type of aneurysm. You can get aneurysm in your spleen, which I didn't know, and your legs. And one of the other ones that's very serious is it called the aorta aneurysm. And there is a big artery down here, like where your stomach is, and it basically connects to your legs and it connects to your heart. And that's another very common aneurysm, and a lot more higher statistics of deaths in this one, just because it's the main artery to the heart. And there are many cases of these. Many of these statistics are aortic aneurysms. Everyone I know and that I've talked to, my grandfather that I didn't have obviously a chance to talk to about because he passed away, but my grandfather had one in his brain. So, and most people in my support group had them in their brain, but there's possibility for all of these areas to have an aneurysm. So what causes an aneurysm? Number one reason is it's hereditary. So my doctor basically told me, because my grandfather had one and my mom's cousin, I believe, had one, and it ruptured and he died as well. So there's 2 people in my family. So my doctor basically told me that the hereditary trumps everything else. And I know other people's doctors have told them different things, but my doctor told me that trumps everything else. So if you have anybody in your family at all related to you that has had an aneurysm, ruptured or unruptured, it's very important that you go get checked. Extremely important. Let your doctor know, and your doctor will know to take it seriously, and please go get checked. So that's number 1, is hereditary. In my case, absolutely it was hereditary. Number 2 is high blood pressure. I have extremely low blood pressure, so I did not fall into this category at all. So, I mean, I've been monitoring my blood pressure like crazy, and it never even gets up high to even what a normal blood pressure is. Even on my worst days where I'm stressed or worried about something, it just doesn't get that high. So that's where I'm a little bit different. Most people have very high blood pressure, but I'm living proof that you don't have to have high blood pressure. So that's the second most common thing. Another thing is plaque or buildup, fat buildup in the arteries. I did not have this, but this could obviously be diet related as well. I did not have this in my case, but that's another thing that they find with people with aneurysms. Smoking is another contributor to having aneurysm. I've been a smoker most of my life, on and off. I've quit for 10 years. I've quit for 5 years. I think I've probably smoked about as even non-smoking and smoking. So I wasn't like most people I know that are smokers that have been smoking their whole life. Sorry, that's my dog. Zorro, be a good boy. Okay, so, but smoking is definitely something that they tell you right away that you have to stop. And I did stop, and I'll talk more about that later. But near when I did have my aneurysm, I wasn't smoking as heavily as I have for most of my life. And I know it's not really an excuse, but really, I had quit several times. But again, it's a factor. 100% it's a factor. So I will mention it. And obesity, which I'm not an obese person, but just goes to show you. But in some people, and I guess that would contribute also to the plaque and fat buildup around the arteries, that you would have to be careful. A diet high in fats and cholesterol totally makes sense to me because of the plaque buildup that would be around, or the fat buildup around the arteries. So these are the main causes. Most people in my support group that I've been just talking to, a lot of them, it's hereditary, and there are a lot of smokers in there as well. But again, I mean, my doctor told me that people could have an aneurysm that have none of these things. So it's just something, these are things that can contribute to it, but it could still happen to anybody, which is why it's scary. So treatment for aneurysm, there's two types of treatment that they have. One has been around for a long time, and one is fairly new. I believe it's from the 90s or early 2000s, so fairly new. One is clipping and one is coiling. So clipping is basically, the other word for it is, I always forget it, craniotomy. It's a craniotomy. So this has been going back for a long time. They've been doing this. So they basically cut your scalp and flap it open. And wherever the artery is, they cut and they flap it open, and they go in and they clip it. And they clip, so they can't remove an aneurysm. You don't get an aneurysm removed. They basically cut off blood supply to it so that it can't rupture again. And like, that's the only thing they really can do is like suppress it, but they can't get rid of it. So with a clip, they go in, they clip it, then they put your scalp back down, sew you all up. That is obviously much more risk because they're actually opening your head and your skull and going into your skull, but it's very effective in clipping and stopping the blood supply. I did not have that. I had coiling, and it wasn't really my choice, and I'm fine with what was decided. I would have been fine either way. But my sister, who's a nurse, and my boyfriend really decided. The doctor spoke to them, told them the risks, and they made a decision. And the decision for me was coiling. So for coiling, it's non-invasive. So they didn't go in and open up my scalp. You can't really tell. It's all growing in now, but they shaved my head here, and that was for another reason. It was for tubes that came out of my head, which I'll explain. So with coiling, they went into my groin area. They went in that way. There's a little tiny scar. You can't even see it. It cleared up like so fast. They go in there and they went all the way up into my brain, and they put in 3 platinum coils. Really strong coils, and it's kind of like how I understand it is like heart bypass. When they make sure everything bypasses. It's the same way. So they kind of go in and make sure that all the blood supply is closed off to the aneurysm. So I have 3 coils in my head, and that sounds like, you know, a lot, but I actually read Sharon Stone, the actress, had exactly what I had, the exact same almost experience what I had, and she has 22 coils in her head. So that's like crazy to me. So with the coils, there are also, I mean, with any type of operation, there was also some potential side effects. I could have had a stroke. I really did sort of have a stroke anyway, but I could have had a stroke with that procedure. There are some other long-term effects that might happen. I get pain sometimes in my pelvis area from it and things like that. But it was really, honestly, like a miracle that they were able to do that. So they basically stopped off all the blood supply. And what I initially had when I went into the hospital was called a subarachnoid hemorrhage. So Sharon Stone, if you read her story, she's had that. Bret Michaels from Poison went through it. I believe, what's his name? The Canadian singer. Oh my God. I see how my memory's gone, but I'll remember his name. Anyway, he had one. Gary Coleman died from one. I'm just throwing out these names because you may not know somebody in real life that had one, but you may have heard about these celebrities. So it's quite amazing what the medical technology has come, how far it's come. The fact that they were able to go in my body with this, like, I think it's like a tube, and they shot in some dye, found that aneurysm, and then they went in and put these platinum coils and blocked off the blood supply. So it's quite amazing. And this side they had shaved, and there was tubes coming out. A tube came out of my head here and was draining the blood because my brain had hemorrhaged, so they were draining out all the blood. Apparently, if that blood was not to drain properly, which thank God it did, I would have needed a stent also in my head. And there's a lot of people in my support group that have also a stent, I guess, because the blood, if I understand correctly, the blood did not drain out properly. So luckily I didn't need that. Again, it's something they need to monitor all the time. Sometimes the coils move, sometimes they're not 100% effective and they have to go in and do it again. And I'm hoping this is not the case, but it's good that I have a follow-up appointment, and it's something, again, that will be monitored for the rest of my life. So I could make myself crazy and worry about it, but I don't, because there's nothing I can do. There was nothing I could do the first time it happened, you know, and just thank God everything was fine. So one of the biggest things is not to worry. I mean, even if there's things I'm talking about and you're thinking, oh my God, I wonder if that's me. I wonder if you can't worry about it. You can't, you literally can't. I know I've read so many stories about people that have aneurysms that they haven't had surgery because of the location. It's dangerous. And so they're basically, what people say is, oh my God, they're walking around like a ticking time bomb. You know what? One thing I've learned from this experience, everybody is a ticking time bomb. Right? We're all ticking time bombs. I mean, I could go across the street and get hit by a car and be dead. Lightning could strike me. I could be dead. I could find out tomorrow I have like a life-threatening disease. So it's really important that not to worry about, no matter what it is that you have been diagnosed with, even if it's not an aneurysm, you can't worry about it. You can't worry about it. You can only do your best to, you know, live in the moment, do your best to be healthy and make the changes that you need to in your life. And that's it. You can't worry. You can't worry about dying. Really, you can't. So that's just my story about I had the coiling, and we're going to check in a week to see how the coils are doing. And you can't tell. I know you can't really see, but really my head was shaved here. Otherwise, you can't tell that I've had any type of thing done to my head. And I've seen people with the craniotomy. I have to always look at that word because I say it wrong. Craniotomy. I've seen people with that, and they have scars and stuff. But pretty much like they wear scarves. I've been wearing scarves too, but now my hair's all growing back. But I still like the scarves, so I'm still gonna wear them. But people wear scarves to cover up wherever their incisions are, or some people just rock their hair the way it is. Some people wear wigs. I mean, it's up to you, whatever it is that you decide. The thing that I learned is that I thought it would really bother me, like that. You can't see, but this was all shaved, and I always thought it would really bother me if I lost my hair. It didn't bother me at all. Actually, it didn't. I was just so grateful to be alive. So, I mean, luckily I still have this like crazy full head of hair, but I would have been fine without it. And I swear to God, it's true. I would have. Totally would have. So symptoms. So what to look for? Again, I'm not a doctor, okay, but I'm 100% not a doctor. You'll need to talk to your own doctor. But some symptoms of a ruptured or unruptured aneurysm are headaches, sometimes migraines. They don't have to be severe headaches. I mean, I had headaches, but I had like these little stupid tension headaches that mostly was because of a bad day at work. I did have migraines maybe once or twice a year, pretty bad migraines that sometimes at work they had to drive me home. I couldn't even drive home. But again, everybody's different. So you don't have to go by my story. Everybody's different. But some of the symptoms, and I just took these off the internet, they're just general: headaches, migraines, a stiff neck or pain in the neck. That's one of that's probably the only symptom I had leading up to the aneurysm, is that my neck was extremely stiff every single day, and I thought it was my pillow. And we bought all these pillows and nothing was working. And every morning I was like, my neck is killing me. And again, a stiff neck could just be you pulled something. It could be something else. So don't be afraid, but that's one of the, that could be a symptom. Droopy eye could be a symptom. Seizures could be a symptom. Sensitivity to light could be symptoms. Loss of consciousness, blurred or double vision, nausea. In my case, I had the nausea, loss of consciousness, and I had a sudden extreme headache when it happened, when the actual rupture happened. But you can have symptoms and not have a rupture. So it's important to, first of all, don't freak out, but it's important to go to your doctor. Or what I tell everybody is, if you're not sure, if you're in it's the worst, how it's described, for me, it was the worst pain I've ever had in my life. And that's how everybody describes it. It's the worst pain you've ever had in your life, at least in my head. I can't speak for the other types of aneurysms. It's the worst pain ever. And you'll know. That's what I tell people. Other people have described it as being shot in the head, even though they've never been shot in the head. Other people think, like I said, like a 3,000-pound tree trunk fell on their head. In my particular case, I was describing it like a vice grip, like it was like something squeezing my head, and I'll get more to that later. I'll explain you more on how it felt later. So I'm just going to quickly go over some questions that I have been asked since I had my aneurysm, and I'm just going to answer some questions because I feel like it's the best way, this is the best forum to do it because everybody's hearing the answer. So where was I when it happened? What was I doing? I was at my friend's house. We're about to have dinner. I was sitting on her couch talking to her daughter. I've sort of explained this, and then it happened. So what happened with other people, some people are exercising. There's quite a few stories of exercising when it happened, especially like bending over and like downward dog with yoga. I've heard like so many stories like that. It doesn't mean necessarily it's everybody, but a lot of stories like that. Some people are having sex when it happened. Some people were sneezing and it happened. Some people were on the toilet having a number two and when it happened. Some people were lifting weights when it happened. So if you think there's like a bit of a connection here, it's like straining, like some types of straining, or overexertion maybe. In my case, I was lying on the couch, like literally lying on the couch. So, you know, it's not 100% for everybody, but that's just stories that I've heard and what I've been told. But that's what I was doing. How did I know I was having an aneurysm? I didn't know I was having an aneurysm, but I can tell you what it felt like. So this is the only way I can explain it, right? So this was my brain. That's my skull, the outer edge of my skull. This was my brain. I felt like there was a vice grip on my brain. And this is how that's how it felt. So I just cracked open a walnut, and which coincidentally looks like a brain. This is how it felt. That's how it felt. It felt like I just got to pick up this walnut. Sorry. It felt like my head exploded. It felt like my brain exploded. And that's what most people know as an aneurysm. It's like, oh, your head, like people say, oh, I'm going to have an aneurysm, my head's going to explode. Like it's kind of as if it's a joke, but that's how it felt. That's exactly how it felt. Like that my mind got blown, literally got blown. So, and that's the only way I can explain it to people is by cracking a walnut. Some people ask me, did I have any symptoms? So the only symptom I had leading up to the day it happened was for about 1.5 years. I had a stiff neck every single day when I woke up. And I had no idea that it was any way related. I honestly just thought I was getting old and had a stiff neck and I was not sleeping properly because I sleep in funny positions and my neck's always twisted. And turns out that was a symptom. So how long was I in the hospital? I was in the hospital for 2.5 weeks, I think. 1.5 weeks, I think, in ICU, and then they cleared because the blood drained out properly, and I had a few MRIs, and they cleared me to go into the regular population, I guess. I'm making it sound like jail because hospital kind of was like, I hated being in the hospital so much. And I'll do a whole story time of what happened in the hospital. I have some really funny, crazy stories of the hospital, but I will tell you that another time. Did you have a near-death experience? 100% I did. 100%. Now, if you're one of these people that doesn't believe in it, I don't really care. I know what happened. I know what happened to me, and I believe 100% that I had a near-death experience, and I will tell that story in another story time when I talk about my hospital and everything like that. But 100%, and no, it wasn't scary. It was absolutely beautiful. We'll talk about it later. So deficits, what deficits do I have? So everybody's different. So at the beginning, I couldn't walk. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't shower. I couldn't get out of bed. So I was had a catheter, couldn't get out of bed, couldn't see. The photosensitivity to light was horrible. Now, as you can see, much better, but I do wear sunglasses a lot, especially outside. I can't go outside without sunglasses, but I had to be in pitch black darkness. My eye was all wonky. Now it's sort of a lot better, way better, but it was kind of like I had cross eyes and stuff like that. So everybody's different, but my eyes were 100% affected. They're still not 100%. I'm still not driving, but my eyes are a million times better than they were, and I'm sure we'll find out more at the follow-up. But they hurt sometimes. I have to wear sunglasses a lot, and I wear a patch sometimes to cover this eye. My eyesight was already bad before it happened, and now it's gotten worse as far as I can tell. At least I think so, but we'll find out at my follow-up. So my eyes were affected. My memory is affected greatly, my short-term memory. I remember being in the hospital and hearing a song. I don't know why the song was playing, but I remember being so happy that I knew what the song was. And it was an old song from like the 70s. So I was like, oh, my memory's not so bad. So my short-term memory was already not great before, and I was forgetting stuff like most of us do when we get older. But I mean, now my short-term memory is horrible. Like somebody will tell me something, and 5 minutes later I'm like, what were you saying? Like, what did you just tell me? And there, or I forget things all the time. I forget people's names. I found my speech is affected. I mean, this video is not too bad, but some of my nutrition videos that you watch, I forget what words are. And I know 100% what that word is, but I forget what the word is. I forget, you know, and the information's in my head, but I don't know how to say it. And then all of a sudden I'll think of the word and I'll get so excited, and you'll see me do that. So, and a lot of the reason I do these videos is to kind of practice and to watch myself and see how cognitive I am. And it's been really helpful. So thank you for helping me with this process. So my memory sucks, but you know, whatever. Fatigue, my fatigue is extreme and it's real and it's horrific. So there's been days I open a can of tuna and I have to go lie down for 4 hours. Literally, I can't even open so I'm kind of weak and really tired. But everything pretty much makes me tired. Socializing makes me tired. I'll do it and I love it. And I love seeing people and spending time with them, but it exhausts me beyond belief, like exhausts me. I just found out like I'm pretty much like a battery. So like your phone. Basically, I'm like a phone. So at the beginning of the day, I'm like all charged up and like I may not have a lot of energy, but I'll take the dog for an extra long walk in the morning because I know I'm not going to have the energy later. So I try to get all my stuff done in the morning, right? It's where I feel the best when I wake up, which is total opposite to the way I was before the aneurysm. But my morning is my time. I get up, you know, I start my day. I go for a long walk. If I have laundry to do, I'll do some of that. But as the day progresses, I'm like a phone battery. So it just, you know, then I'm at 89%, then I'm at 70%, then I'm at 50%. And as the day goes on, it's just like I have no energy. So most nights I'm in bed by 7 o'clock. I might not fall asleep right away, but I'm in bed by 7. I just get really tired, but I mean, it's normal. And it just hits me like a ton of bricks. And sometimes I've had good days where I was feeling really good. I tried to get a lot done and I just end up paying for it because my body's like, fuck you, Linda, fuck you. Like, go lie down. So I have to listen to my body because I tell everybody else to. So I listen to my body now. When I'm tired, I just go wherever I am. It's like, I gotta go. I'm tired, you know, or I'm watching TV with my boyfriend. It's like, we gotta turn the TV off. I'm tired. And he's cool with that. And I just say, I gotta go to bed now. Right. So, and this is something that most people that have been through what I've been through complain about all the time. And it might never go away. And I'm prepared for that. But I have to learn and I have learned how to deal with it. So depth perception, sometimes when there's a curb or there's a step, I can't tell how far down it is. So I almost like broke my neck like the first few weeks when I'd go out in public, and I still don't go anywhere alone because I'm kind of scared of that. It's gotten a lot better, but I have to be really cognizant of that sometimes I don't know how far down something is. So I've really looked like an idiot a few times, but luckily I haven't hurt myself, but I've almost hurt myself really badly a few times. Some days better than others. Sore muscles, sore neck. I've told you about that. Sore neck is back. I get sore muscles when I wake up. I'm very crickety and, you know, but as soon as I start moving, it's like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. But as soon as I start moving, I'm fine. I stumble over my words, which you've probably noticed in my videos. I forget what words are. I forget what the word is for something. I forget who sings a song, which I used to know all this like the back of my hand. Eventually I'll remember, but it's like, I forget. It looks like I forget what I'm saying, but I actually forget the word for things, so I stumble on my words. Changes in senses. Oh my God. It's like I have superpowers. My hearing and my sense of smell is like through the roof. It's crazy. Like I hear things before other people. It's like I have the hearing of a dog now, and I smell things like if somebody like 2 blocks down hasn't brushed their teeth, I can smell it. Like, I'm not even kidding. My sense of smell is so heightened. It's crazy. And my taste. So certain things, like I used to be a coffee hound. I used to be obsessed with coffee. I have 1 coffee in the morning and sometimes I don't even finish it, and that's it. Like I really have lost, and everyone's like, who are you? But I lost sense for that. I stopped smoking. And the best thing about this is that I stopped smoking. I forgot that I was a smoker. Like the aneurysm, like literally, I forgot I was a smoker. Like a few days in, the nurse is like, do you want a patch or do you want something, like, do you have some kind of like addiction to something? Because I was being like really irritable hospital, but they were also waking me up every hour in the hospital to give me medication that I didn't want to take. I had no sleep in the hospital. So of course I was irritable, right? But they were like, do you smoke or something? Because you're really irritable. So I said, no, I don't. And I forgot that I smoked. And I still kind of I don't think I was even a smoker ever. It's the weirdest thing, but it's like the best thing. It's a good side effect to have. So I have a follow-up with the doctor next week, and we'll find out, we'll see how much I progress, and I have progressed quite a bit. Again, I'll do another video another time of my hospital stay and kind of how I was when I came out of it, which was a lot worse, obviously, than I am now. So what this aneurysm has taught me. This aneurysm, I tell people this, and they look at me like I'm nuts, and maybe I am, but it's the worst thing that happened to me and the best thing that happened to me. So it's taught me, number one, to be grateful for my health, to be grateful for my friends, to be grateful for my family, be grateful for everything and where my life has led me. And today, especially for having a birthday, I'm grateful that I'm here today to celebrate my birthday, which sprung about this whole video. So it absolutely, I was grateful before sometimes, but now I'm like 100% really. And sometimes I try, I fall off the grateful wagon and I kick myself and I get right back up. So I'm so much more grateful than I ever have been in my life. So it taught me that. So thank you, aneurysm, because you taught me how to be grateful. Number two, taught me how much I am loved. It was overwhelming, the response of people, like overwhelming response and things that people did for me. And I'll talk about that, in another video. I don't think I have enough time to talk about that, which is lovely, right? I mean, amazing, like, support that I had from my friends and my family is just like unbelievable support. And my caregiver, John, my boyfriend, just unbelievable, right? So that's where the grateful part comes in. But God, am I loved. And it's such a good feeling. Also, I learned not to, with recovery, I cannot compare myself like with people going through anything where they've lost, whether it's your mind, a sense of something from your mind or from your body or from physical things that you can't do or mental things. I've learned I cannot compare myself now to the person I was before the aneurysm. I am comparing myself to, physically, like my deficits, I'm comparing to the day I woke up 3 days later, another story, from my aneurysm, from how severe of the effects that I had to now. When I compare myself to before the aneurysm, of course I've got a long way to go. Of course there's things I can't do. Of course, like some things I'm not going to be able to do again. And I know that, but I can't compare myself to then. It's like a rebirth. I have to compare myself to when I woke up and when I came back to life. And my hospital stay. And believe me, I'm a million times better. I've still got some way to go, but I'm a million times better. Again, go back to number one of things that taught me, I'm grateful. So never compare yourself to before whatever happened to you. Compare yourself from when it started and to where you are now. Life is precious. Enjoy every moment. Live in the moment. That's another thing I've learned. Thank you, aneurysm. Thank you, aneurysm, for making me less judgmental. I used to be, not crazy judgmental, but I used to be a lot more judgmental than I am now, and I'm still working on it. Sometimes I'm like so tempted to say something that's like, why stop being judgmental, stop. I'm talking to myself more than you, but yes. So thank you, aneurysm, for making me less judgmental and aware of how judgmental I could be. Another thing I learned is that you can't tell what anybody is going through by looking at them. You really can't. So I find, and it's really nice, and I really appreciate, a lot of people tell me, oh my God, like, what happened to you? You look great. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for saying that. But there's days like my head, like the sensations in my head, I can't even explain to you. Like, I get clicking in my brain. I get like, it feels like there's water going through my head the last couple of days because it was raining. Luckily I'm not getting tons of headaches the way most people do, but I get aches in my head, if that makes any sense, and they're weird. Right? And not to complain, but you just can't tell. Like, people just go, oh, you look great. You look great. Sometimes I don't feel so great though. And that's what it taught me, is that you can never judge a book by its cover. You can never look at someone and go, well, like, and maybe I was like this when I was younger. I don't know. Hopefully I wasn't like this, but some people look at someone and go, oh, she doesn't have that. Like, what's wrong with her? Like, I can't see, you can't see what's wrong with her. Like, why isn't she coming to work? Or why isn't she coming here? Or, she's faking it and all this stuff. No, you cannot tell what anybody's going through, physically, emotionally, nothing. You cannot tell. Okay, so that's one thing I learned. Thank you, aneurysm. Thank you. Yeah, I'm basically living a much healthier lifestyle. I was living a pretty healthy lifestyle before, but I was like in the sense of eating. I've always eaten, eated. That's not even a word. I've always eaten really, really well. It's always something I've wanted to do, like for a long time. So I'm eating even more well now. 100% holistically, like whole, like amazingly eating. I still, every now and then dabble in, cake because it's my birthday, and or chocolate or whatever, but that's not, you can't be like 100% with anything, right? But I am back on the train of the healthy eating. I feel fantastic. I'm drinking so much water, more water than I've ever drank in my life, because it really helps. I believe that that's why I haven't had a lot of headaches, and also it's keeping me hydrated. It's made a huge difference in my skin. Before the aneurysm, I still have a little bit of bag sore, but there was like such dark circles under my eyes. It took me so long to do my makeup because of the dark circles under my eyes. I was so dehydrated. I wasn't drinking enough water. So I feel better. I look better because of all the water that I'm drinking. I'm taking supplements that are really, really helping me. I'm taking magnesium to help with my headaches, helps with constipation, helps me to sleep, helps with muscle aches. I'm taking chlorophyll, which is something I add to my water to make my blood more alkaline. I am taking probiotics for my digestive tract, and they made me take, I didn't want to, they made me take antibiotics in the hospital because I had fluid in my lungs, because I got pneumonia from, I don't know what happened in the hospital, but so all these things, and maybe I'll talk about that in another video because I'm already at 36 minutes. I'm so sorry. But I just wanted to thank my aneurysm for all these lessons that I've learned, and I want to thank you for your support and for listening, and I'm having a happy, happy birthday, and I've got my Wonder Woman ring on because everybody's calling me Wonder Woman, and I like it. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. Thanks for your support. Hopefully you've learned a lot from this video, and if you do like this video, please subscribe down below on the YouTube and hit the bell to get notifications. I am Lexi Velvet on YouTube. I am Lexi.velvet on Instagram. I am Nutralicious on Facebook, and I welcome your comments, your suggestions. Hit the like button if you like this video, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you.